Now to the other big story on this Friday night. The race for Mitch McConnell's prized U.S. Senate seat is underway, getting started moments actually after he finished making his retirement speech yesterday. The field of the first candidates are already lining up. Republican Daniel Cameron of Louisville, who unsuccessfully ran for governor, actually announced his campaign nearly as McConnell was wrapping up his comments in Washington. Cameron expected to be challenged by the current Kentucky Congressman, Republican Andy Barr of Lexington. For the Democrats, current State House Minority Leader Pamela Stevenson of Louisville also intends to run for the seat. Isaiah Kim Martinez is here getting the early odds on some of the names in the race. Isaiah?
Well, Doug, from experts I've talked to, there's somewhat of a consensus that Daniel Cameron, Kentucky's former attorney general, brings the name recognition, and Congressman Andy Barr of Lexington will have the financial resources early on, serving in the U.S. House since 2013. Mitch McConnell's birthday bombshell means more than an open Senate seat.
Mitch McConnell's decision to step down really puts a final punctuation mark on the Reagan-Bush era Republican Party. That Republican Party is mostly gone.
Stephen Voss, politics and elections expert over at UK, says it represents a seismic shift.
We're now in a new era, a Trump era, and the GOP today is not like the GOP of Ronald Reagan.
But for Reverend Kevin Cosby of Louisville, president of Simmons College of Kentucky,
I consider the senator a friend.
Something else comes to mind. This proclamation in his office, signed by McConnell.
I will always be indebted to him for the help that he provided us with.
Cosby tells me he and McConnell didn't agree politically, but he'll always be thankful for the senator's support of the state's oldest HBCU.
I've been humbled each and every opportunity to help Kentucky punch above its weight.
Back to the race. Who's next in line and who has the edge?
And I think the only question is how big the Republican field gets.
So far, former Attorney General Daniel Cameron is the only Kentucky Republican to officially say he's running, announcing his bid almost simultaneously with McConnell's speech. One of his advantages?
Daniel Cameron's got the name recognition after his last statewide race. He's going to have that advantage with the public and maybe in some polls.
But retired Louisville Congressman Democrat John Yarmuth, himself a Republican until the early 80s, says Cameron's loss in the 2023 governor's race to Governor Andy Beshear could mean his upending.
When you've lost a statewide race as a Republican in a Republican state, I'm not sure that Republican voters would want to give you another chance.
Then there's Congressman Andy Barr of Lexington, seen here sitting next to McConnell in Frankfort late last year.
I think Andy Barr has to be a favorite in the race if it's a small field.
Andy Barr's going to have the resources needed to mount a Senate campaign.
We know that the primary will be in May of next year.
All right, but it's already starting. And so the other big question people are speculating about is President Donald Trump's influence in Kentucky. He won so big here. If he gets behind somebody, could Donald Trump be the difference maker for that U.S. Senate candidate? We know he doesn't like Mitch McConnell.
There is a sense within some, especially in Frankfort, that pretty much whoever Donald Trump endorses, if he chooses to endorse someone, will go and win this race. That being said, we look at the gubernatorial election in 23. He did endorse Daniel Cameron. Daniel Cameron ended up losing, but that was a totally different race. We know Senate races tend to go on partisan ideological lines. So there is some sense that Donald Trump will sort of look into this, and we'll see who he picks.
Okay, thank you very much.